The Articulate Coven is the original, unofficial podcast and fan community for Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire and Anne Rice's Immortal universe from AMC and AMC+. Welcome to the Articulate Coven. We are your hosts. I'm Joel.
I'm Ashley.
And we are the Articulate Coven. The Articulate Coven is the original unofficial fan podcast and community for Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire, Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles, Anne Rice's Mayfair Witches, and the Immortal universe, which brings all of that and maybe more to your little screens wherever they may be, AMC and AMC+. Right now we are watching Interview with the Vampire Season 2, and tonight we're going to be discussing Episode 6. Yeah, indeed. Listen, I saw somebody in the Facebook group, which, by the way, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram and Threads and where else? YouTube and TikTok.
Everywhere.
There we go. We're all the places, except for former Twitter. We're not there anymore.
Yes, we're not. I mean, I'm still there hanging out, but we're not there collectively.
Yeah, so go find us in all those places, especially YouTube in particular. I want to punch YouTube this week. Find Articulate Coven on YouTube. Even if you don't watch the videos there or listen to the content there, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out. We're close to 500 followers, so yay on that.
Which is crazy.
Right, I know. And on that, a little bit of news that came out this week. AMC has struck a deal with Netflix. Interview with the Vampire is coming to Netflix later this year. At least Season 1. My guess is that the deal will be for Season 1 and Season 2. And then depending upon how successful that is, will they license content in the future? You know, probably not at the time of release. Like if you think back to the way that the Breaking Bad deal worked or Better Call Saul.
It was a season ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean,
or a season behind, rather.
That used to be the way that Netflix always was for basically everything before Netflix started making their own content. So, they had a special deal with CW, didn't they? Where it's like the CW would come out on Tuesday night on the air, and then it would be on Netflix like that same week or something, I think, once upon a time.
Oh, that's definitely possible from back in the day, yeah.
Anyway, this is a huge move. They made a similar deal with Max last year around Halloween for the month of October and a little bit more. I think it started in September. But not only Interview with the Vampire, Mayfair Witches was there as well, I think, and some other shows from AMC's original content wing. But the fact of the matter is Netflix is the biggest streamer in the world by a lot. It's bigger than all the other ones and then some. It has its own audience and its own, ecosystem that won't have been exposed to this content, probably. Well,
and it's blown up some shows to a degree that it would never would have happened. Dairy Girls is a really good example. Breaking Bad's even a good example. Like it was very popular amongst the people it was super popular with, and obviously it was critically acclaimed. They had plenty of viewership. It wasn't going to get canceled or anything like that. But once they made that pop over to Netflix, an entirely a much larger group of people got to see it for the first time and experience it. And that is one of the craziest things that can happen to a show, that's like a little show, the little darling show that could, Dairy Girls is this little sweet little Irish comedy, and it blew up pretty huge when it landed on Netflix. So it makes me really excited. It gives me a lot of hope for increased viewership going forward. I also, this is probably not a good thing to say about AMC Plus, but we're all kind of excited that those of us that have Netflix, maybe we can let our AMC Plus go in the off season.
Well, I mean, one less streaming. So also, to be very frank, for me, like, I'm glad that it's very unlikely that it will be the edited versions that we've been watching this season.
Oh, very true.
On Netflix. So like the folks will be exposed to the real content, the full content. And if you have an AMC Plus subscription, like mine, I set mine up yearly. I'll probably forget to unsubscribe, so it'll just roll again. I definitely will. But if I think after the season we will get those uncensored versions on AMC Plus as well. It's a shame that they. Anyway, I'm going to put my thumb in the wind and hope that they give us the full uncensored versions to start with on AMC Plus next season.
Yes, please.
Hey, speaking of next season or next year, at least in this case, not next season, there was some other news that we haven't talked about yet. the Talamasca is official. We've got a third series coming to AMC Plus for 2025 release, and currently they are just calling it Anne Rice's Talamasca, another part of the Immortal universe. And I think, Ashley, it makes sense in retrospect that that announcement dropped the same week that we get a full-on mention of that name in this episode, as well as maybe not one, but maybe two members of the organization.
Two members, yeah. It's I'm so excited about this one. Reading these books, the Talamasca was something I immediately was interested in. Like as a mortal person, this is a great way to kind of get to dilly-dally around with monsters, and I love the whole idea of it, that it's this kind of like psychically driven organization, and that they watch and they're always there. And I've always been fascinated by it. So I am really, really excited to see how they roll this out. It makes way more sense that we're seeing Raglan James, knowing that this is a done deal. Like that's going to he's definitely going to be a piece of it, at least to some degree, I'm just excited. I'm so excited. And it also does mean possibly we get our characters we want. Like, surely we should get a David Talbot now. Surely maybe we'll get an Aaron Leitner or some version of that character. That really excites me.
So I thought about that for the first time. This is an opportunity. And, I believe it was Erica Robert Pallo in the Facebook group had mentioned that she spoke with some of the creatives behind Mayfair at one of the events recently. And they had mentioned to her, that they had heard some of the criticism about the complete straying from the book's plot line, basically, for season 1, and that they were hoping to rein that in some ways and make that connection in a deeper way with book readers. Mayfair may be a lost cause for most book purists, but I do see the Talamasca show as an opportunity to give us an actual character of Aaron Leitner, and then even if you wanted to sort of write that course, you could give Aaron Leitner a past with the Mayfair family.
Absolutely.
We're going to meet Uncle Julian, for instance, in this next season of Mayfair Witches, and of course during his time period we don't know exactly what happened between them and the Talamasca, so there's an opportunity for some patchwork there that could maybe right the ship in a way that we could all be at least more pleased with. Let's put it like that. But regardless, I'm excited about that Talamasca show. Yeah,
I have the hope that it will improve. It will improve what's around it. We'll see.
Well, and it's one of those things that I don't remember Anne ever saying that she even had a Talamasca book, in the works or conception or anything. But it was one of those that I always kind of wish she would have done. The crossovers between the Mayfair series and the Vampire Chronicles are pretty sparse. The crossovers between the Mummy and the Vampire Chronicles is basically just a couple of mentions from Marius and a couple of others. And then the Talamasca, though, are this webbing that binds together all of her books, and it would be so obvious to do one in the middle. The other interesting thing from that press release, by the way, I'll mention, it mentions werewolves.
Yes, now, I saw that it did.
Werewolves are part of Anne Rice's canon, of course. They are not part of this connected series. The werewolf books do not happen in the same universe that the Mayfair Witches and the Vampire Chronicles happen, and there are no crossovers there. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, book readers. I've not read The Wolf Gift and those other books, but my understanding is one of the reasons why I've never gotten around to it is that they are completely disconnected, like the Angel series, also not connected to the Vampire Chronicles, although we've done our Memnoch the Devil book episode, and so angels could be in the Anne Rice Vampire Chronicles world. So anyway, all of those creatures though are not open source, public domain creatures. None of that's IP. So the very idea of having werewolves in this universe wouldn't be antithetical, I don't think, and it would be interesting that. I mean, and we said that originally when the Talamasca idea was proposed. It's like, give us the X-Files in this universe.
Yes,
I could do that.
Yes, I would love that. Like the first couple of seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I fucking love that. I love that idea.
Well, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that's a great example too, though, because that's why is the Talamasca so interesting? All of these, franchises that have done connected universes, it's the agency that is able to tie them together. Agents
Right.
of S.H.I.E.L.D. are this ongoing organization, and you can have 1 million members, and some of them can be famous and some of them can't be, and it's all good, and they're always behind the scenes, and everything is connected through them. You think about the MonsterVerse with Godzilla and King Kong from Legendary.
Oh, yeah.
They've got the Monarch organization, which they've now made at least one show on Apple TV Plus, and it's going to get a second season and spin-offs as well, apparently. And it's the same thing there. It's that organization behind the scenes that ties everything together. It's
a really great, smart way to grow your world, and out in different directions as well. It's just like we're seeing adaptation in one of its really, really truest forms, where the source material is just the idea, and then off we run with it. So I'm hoping that turns out a lot better than Mayfair. I have good hopes. Me
too. So
Big
far
hopes.
they're swinging 50%. This could knock them up there. See, I'm all
right.
for it.
Because we could get 75.
There you go.
We could get all the way to 75%.
All right, so tonight's episode, like the light by which God made the world before he made light, a fucking mouthful. I'll tell them that. They do. I would find more pithy phrases from the book, Rollin, for next season, maybe. There's some good ones.
This
Wolf
one
Killer.
in particular.
Give me one episode named Wolf Killer, for instance. Okay, anyway.
Yes, Joel needs it, so just please deliver that.
Can I tell you how much I fucking loved Daniel interrogating Rasheed?
Oh my God.
Is my mailman in on it?
Yeah. I'm not leaving him a Christmas tip. Yeah, that was fantastic. I love seeing and this was totally a big twist for me. Like, who in God's name thought Rasheed might be involved with the Talamasca somehow? Fuck. Like,
okay, I was convinced that he was an elder vampire. I figured that I honestly thought his name was probably just Rasheed. But if not that, if there was going to be some reveal, my guess was going to be that he was some child of the millennia, like a Cayman, or a child of the first brood, I meant, not a child of the millennia. So like literally one of the truly ancient ones, right? That was going to be my guess. But no, first of all, he's human, because he's out at the restaurant with Daniel,
right.
And I'm like, the vampires wouldn't go there. Also, he's eating, so like it's not. He's human. Okay, great. That one's knocked off first. But then, when it's clear that he knows Raglan James and Raglan James knows him, and there's the implication. I mean, Daniel outright says it, Agent Rasheed. But even if you don't have that line, and Daniel doesn't know, so that's just him supposing. But the way that they both know each other, the way that Raglan clearly knew that Rasheed was going to walk away, and that was his opening, but he wasn't worried about Rasheed, and not just because he was going to take a long time in the bathroom, but when he came back, he wasn't mad at Raglan. He didn't run away. He didn't turn him in, whatever. So clearly to me, Rasheed is a Talamasca plant. Whether he's an actual agent or not, I don't know.
I don't know either, but I hard agree on that. I mean, there's no other way to see that. Now, if he's part of the Talamasca, he probably has some psychic abilities too, so that might be why he's able to kind of keep his real personage secret from Armand. That's
Precisely.
the feeling I'm like, how these fuckers getting these guys, how do they not get in his brain? But I mean, that's a whole piece of the Talamasca.
So in the novels, not every member of the Talamasca is psychically gifted in some way. Some of them are literally just bookworms, right? They're just experts
big old nerds
in their field.
That would be me.
Yeah.
That would be that in the Talamasca.
But it's clear in everything that they've mentioned the Talamasca, they've referred to them as a psychic detective agency, basically, that watches and oversees all of these supernatural elements in her world, or preternatural elements in her world. Okay. Absolutely. And I saw a lot of speculation on this. They're like, he can't be a plant because Armand would know. Armand couldn't get into their heads in a way that they wouldn't want him to be in their heads unless he did this, where you hold your face and look into their eyes, right? The ancient vampires, the very old vampires, when they get your eyes, they can ensnare you even if you're a fairly powerful psychic. But other than that, they're just not able to get in there. And if you want to lead them astray and, you plant a thought to have, there would absolutely be adept at doing that. And if they put Rasheed in this place, he must be a very powerful psychic, I would say. Yeah. And then the other thing is, that makes perfect sense now. Why does Raglan James know everything that's been going on? In this episode, he specifically mentions to Daniel, I think you've been doing a marvelous job or a brilliant job or whatever, How would he know that if he's not been
Right.
literally getting the he's bugged, and also he's getting reports from Rasheed. So
Well, and that could explain too, like how wasn't there a thing that happened a couple of episodes ago with his actual computer?
yes, he had gotten
where like
so that was
where it
hinted
like-
at even in the cafe. Remember when Raglan says
Right.
you're tragically vulnerable laptop or something like
yes,
that.
yes, something like that.
So yeah, it got hacked, and then he pops up and he's like chatting with him or trying to chat with him. Hey, I'm available if you need anything, and then drops all the files on his desktop there and like,
Right,
screws
and then
him
but
up.
then when he and Armand are talking, I feel like there was a moment, and maybe I just fucking hallucinated it. It could be that it seemed like the recording stopped and then picked back up, and like somebody had like a network access to his computer almost, and was like manipulating it. But that
maybe
that
so.
might have been something that I just in my brain saw and decided to make it nefarious. I don't know. But at any rate, I think it's super exciting to have a mole in the house. And also, Armand's very busy right now. He's got a lot of his psychic balls in the air with
Yeah.
all of the psychic balls around him. So he's a busy boy. So I don't even know that he would have that much time to dig around in Rasheed's head right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes sense why he would have been distracted previously, but also it makes me wonder, like, okay, Rasheed's been in the house since before Daniel got there. So, like,
Right.
how long have they been tracking Armand and Louis in this particular way?
Right. And how long has Rasheed been undercover, possibly?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I love it.
It's a great line, though, from Raglan James. Daniel asks if they can protect him, and he goes, "Oh, from dying? No.
We're very bad at that.
We're particularly poor at keeping our assets alive."
Yeah.
Which is
It's very true. It's the understatement of the
true.
fucking year.
yeah, I mean, there's several buried in the Mayfair house, for instance.
Right. I mean, for fucking real. There's a guy in a rug up in the attic below.
Oh shit, I forgot they actually kept that in the show. Yes. There's
Yeah,
the
they
guy in the
did.
rug, exactly. Okay, so the here we know what they want, or at least on the surface we know what they want. The Talamasca, they want to publish the book. There is at least a group within the Talamasca, not the organization as a whole perhaps, but a large contingent is the way that Raglan makes it sound, and it would seem probably that Rasheed is part of that organization or part of that group as well, right? They want this book
Oh, I would think
published.
so.
And I
Right,
love
because-
the way that Raglan lays it out. He's like, yeah, you're going to send it to your publisher, and then Armand's going to buy it. And they're
Yeah.
going to pay you a lot of money, and you'll never even see it.
Right. It won't ever see the light of day. But they would rather it be told in this way that that everyone they have some control over, rather than it sounds like shit's hitting the fan regardless. Like it sounds like things are coming to a head with the vampire situation. We see the numbers growing, the population increasing pretty rapidly now, and they know that they can't keep the lid on this shit anymore.
Yes, 100%. And I feel like, okay, we're basically going to leak it in a way, this information to the
Right.
public in a way that can be dismissed if they want to, but it won't be spun by whichever world government decide. Like this is the way that I pitched it to Kelly. I was like, I mean, imagine if the Russians came out and said,
Right, exactly.
there's vampires, and that's why we're going to blow up Cuba and all of South Florida, and blah blah blah.
Jesus Christ.
But I mean, that's the idea. That's what they're hoping to prevent here.
Absolutely.
Fascinating to me. And I mean, we talked about it in a previous episode in one of the episode insiders. There's the plot, designer is talking about the drug case, and we see the books, the novels published beside her, and you're like, wait a minute, when is he going to publish the book? It's going to happen next episode, guys. We're going to see it published, I'm fairly certain. I mean, maybe we won't actually see the
See it
published book
physically
until
yet.
8.
Until I think 8. I think we're going to have our hands full next episode.
It makes me wonder, though, are we going to get a time jump between 7 and 8? Like, are we maybe going to have a few months go by or something? But
Shit, we could. Everything is more horrible than I imagined it was going to be. And so I'm
that's
just
a good way to put it.
I'm really having a hard time unpacking all my feelings about what is going to happen in this next episode, because it's going to be really bad. It's going to be really bad, y'all.
Yeah, okay, let's get into the really bad. Okay, so right off the top, we've got Santiago on stage rehearsing the new play from Sam and the troupe.
Jesus Christ, can we give this man all the awards?
He's so good. He's so good.
I want
right?
him to be in everything. I want to see him in plays. I want to watch him. He is amazing. Like, what a fucking perfect piece of casting.
So, Ashley,
Jesus.
do you watch the Lord of the Rings show?
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw in one of the articles about him today that he's in that, but I don't remember. Who did
I
he
don't
play
remember him.
in
I don't
Lord of the
remember him
Rings?
being in that. No, I don't remember. In Rings of Power?
Yeah, Rings of Power. I'm looking
I
it
don't
up right
remember
now.
him, but I'll be honest, like, this man has not ever been on my radar.
Me
like,
neither.
I didn't really know who he was, and now I need to know everything about him. He's fucking amazing.
Yeah, he's just so charismatic and magnetic. Welcome Ben Daniels to the Rings of Power. That was a year ago. Oh, he's going to play Celeborn.
Oh, so
he'll be in the new season.
He'll be in the new
hasn't-
season.
Yeah, he hasn't been in it so far.
Oh, yeah. That's fuck yay. That's another plus for that show, which I do like, by the way.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people hate it, but I
imagine
liked
that
it.
he's going to be an elf of some sort is the speculation here. At least that may have been confirmed. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited to see Ben Daniels in all sorts of things in the future because he's just fantastic here. But I love though that we're being distracted by this fantastic performance.
Oh my God,
while
yes.
his plan
It is-
continues to play out, right?
He is so fucking strong. Like, I am very I wish we could find out more about his maker, more about for the first time ever, I fucking care about this character and I want to know more about him.
Okay, so that's where I want to get to. This is honestly such a wonderful adaptation of the theatre. It's the first time that I've ever cared about any of them, honestly.
Yeah.
The theater in the novel, and especially in the movie, they immediately, feign interest in Louis and Claudia, but it's clear from moment one there's anger and distrust and disdain, and they're working from moment one on why and how to kill them.
Right.
And in the novel, there's a little more reason because you eventually realize that Lestat's there and they understand that they tried to kill their maker, et cetera, et cetera. But like, even with all of that, it just never made sense to. They were never sympathetic in any way. Okay.
No.
And here,
or even that interesting. They were just
not even that interesting.
Yeah, the most interesting thing about them was that they were vampires doing theater.
Yeah, exactly. And poorly, sort of, was the understanding, at least to me anyway. Okay, here though, they've all been given life. They've all been given moments to shine, or several of them anyway have. And then the troupe as a whole has been given a reason for their angst and anger and eventual violence toward these two, specifically Louis, right? Louis flaunts to them that he gets to live a different way than they have all ascribed to. And more than that, he endangers their existence with his fuck you attitude in Paris.
And him hanging out with mortals and taking pictures of everybody, And
then Claudia has not only broken the rules with writing her story down, which they would be mad about anyway, probably. But specifically, we've been shown why they love Lestat. Lestat footed the bill for their entire existence. Many of them knew him personally when he was the lead actor and when he came up with the idea for the theater to start with.
Right.
And now, 150 years later, these two pieces of shit from America killed him, or tried to anyway, and they killed another young vampire for no good reason other than that they wanted to go be somewhere else. Fuck these two. Yeah, burn them, right? Like, I mean, listen, it's not right. They're overreacting. They're being, I think, agitated by Santiago specifically because of his beef with Armand over his maker.
He knows that this. I mean, from jump, I think he recognized that Louis was a weakness for Armand. This was the time he could make his move to take the Coven over. He's been wanting to do that since Armand killed his maker. I guarantee you that's been on his mind since then.
Absolutely. He's just been waiting for his opening.
He's just a great opportunist and has probably been looking for a chance for decades to do it, And this is it. This is it. This is how I can overthrow him.
But
good instincts, buddy.
No, absolutely. That moment, though, of them performing on stage, rehearsing on stage, and the troupe passing around the diary, I was like, oh
no.
I I might be talked into killing her too. Like I get it. I understand it, So
Yeah.
that was a really good moment to me. And this whole series, like that's what they've done so well, I think, is like make Santiago more interesting, make the troop more interesting as a whole.
Right.
Sort of sympathetic, even if you don't agree with them or you're not rooting for them in this case. Like it's going to be tragic what happens next episode. But at the same time, for the first time, I feel like I get why they did those things or want to do those things. So anyway, kudos to Rollin and his team. There's some really, really good stuff here.
Yeah. I mean, the way that he was talking, so he's on stage performing a kind of Waiting for Godot-esque play.
Yeah, no, not a kind of, like literally it's waiting for Guido.
Literally waiting for Guido.
And Guido never comes because Guido is hope.
Is hope.
Like, yeah, okay.
Fuck.
So is Vampire... I'm wondering if Vampire Sam doesn't make it out alive, and if he does, then is he actually Samuel Beckett?
Is he Sam Beckett? That would be fucking hilarious. That's fucking hilarious.
Sam Beckett's Irish too, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's Irish.
Oh, fuck. I love it.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Just what it is. Yep. But how he's so strong. He's in the two female vampires' minds. And then when he realizes they can't get into what's his face's brain. And yeah, Roger's brain enough to fucking find out what he wants. He has to jump in there too. I'm just like, this man is a serious a multitasker.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It makes me
my guy
wonder.
does not have ADHD.
So we could theoretically meet his maker in some scenes from the Vampire Lestat, because his maker would have been a member of the Coven even back before it became the theater, right? So we could maybe see some stuff between him and Armand next season if they want to follow that up further.
Fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool.
I would love to pull at that thread and find out more.
Right, because just as you said, like that was an old motherfucker, must have been, because he's so strong.
He is. Well, and it's not from his own doing, because he's only 30 something years as a vampire.
Here's something that's yes, you're right. He's younger even than Claudia. But what's interesting is I was looking up Santiago today because someone asked, and I won't get into the specific. Someone asked about Santiago's story in the books, and so I answered that question, but I wanted to go and confirm it for myself. So I looked it up in the alphabetary, and in the novel as well, he's younger than Louis. I don't think they specify how long ago he was made, but he was made a vampire since Louis was made a vampire in the novel. Yeah. So that's not.
That's
they didn't
established.
Make that up. Yeah, that's established. That's pretty cool.
That is excellent.
All right, so. Here's the other point, though, that I wanted to make there. Exactly. Okay. Chasing after the Lestat of it all. Going to see Roger. First of all, confirmed now, I think, that Roger does, in fact, know about vampirism.
Right.
And clearly, Roger has also been the method through which the theater continues to get its money. Right?
Absolutely.
He's been holding it and earning it for them or whatever.
Right.
So,
well, they clearly know of him.
Yeah.
Or how the hell would they have ended up there? So that has to be a known thing that's who, if you have trouble, Daddy Lestat said, go see him and he'll take care of your money problems.
And he's got a giant box of jewels in a safe for me somewhere that he'll go into. Right. We'll all be good. Okay. So, but I love, though, we do get a couple of confirmations in that scene. First and foremost, our theory that Lestat wrote Roger after his death is not true. That he sent the telegram and the note for Louis and et cetera, because I don't imagine
40?
Yeah, 1940. And so I don't imagine that was like, he was clearly hypnotized. That's not he's not defending himself. Roger does not have psychic powers. That was just the truth there. So yeah, so Lestat wrote that note before he passed or before he was attacked, and they know to begin to search for Lestat. So I think that we get later a scene where we hear about strange crimes in the back papers of pages or newspapers. And one of them is a group of drunkards hanging off the Eiffel Tower who are gone before the police get up there in the elevator.
All singing and chanting
They
together.
were chanting to themselves, exactly. And I'm thinking, if you think about how Armand contacted Lestat in the episode in the 70s, he was sort of mumbling to himself, right? It looked like from a distance he was almost chanting. And that's, I think, exactly what was happening there. You had a group of the theater ascend the Eiffel Tower, face south-southwest, the last place they saw Lestat, and search for him telepathically.
Interesting. I like that idea.
So I think they've brought him to Paris.
Yeah,
I don't think he has arrived on his own.
I do think, obviously, some of what do they say that had been stolen? A
lot of color film stock.
A lot of color film stock.
And then the other thing was a telescopic lens. From an astronomical location.
Yeah.
So
this is fucked up.
They are setting up for a trial by fire.
Fucked up.
And they're gonna make a show of it
in the middle of that theater.
So fucking cool though, the way that they laid it all out here.
Yeah,
and I just wanted to call that out. All right, let's get to Claudia and Madeline here.
Oh, these scenes were so fantastic.
Ashley, I was so terrified that they were actually going to let Madeline be raped before she was saved.
I'm so glad they did not. I'm so fucking glad they did not. It gave Claudia... Now, I will say that fucking we're all sick of women being put in peril, but at least a little girl vampire was coming to her rescue this time.
So we talked about, will we get eventually a scene where Claudia gets to tear apart Bruce, or Louis does it, or did Lestat already do it and just never told her?
Right.
And we'll see that, sometime in a flashback. In season 3, maybe. I think we won't, because this is what we got instead. This is the retribution for that and all the things that we know that Claudia went through. She was able to show up and be Superwoman in this case for Madeline, and I honestly thought it was beautiful. Played like a horror scene. We saw a handful of those in in season 1, right?
Yeah.
But really, really good. And then the way that I love the way that they interacted. She sees her and she's stumbling over her words. You're a oh my God, you're drinking. Oh my God, you're a vampire. When Claudia finally says the word, I thought that was nice. It did remind me though of Daddy Network AMC and the fact that their other big show, The Walking Dead, never mentions the word zombies.
Zombie.
I love that Anne didn't play around with that shit. She just calls them what they are.
A zombie's a fucking zombie. We all know. Come on. Yeah, it is. That scene was so, and it was scary. Claudia was scary. That was really just the yanking and people the men getting jerked and fucking stabbing that woman through the throat against the wall.
Pinning her to the wall. She's up off the floor 2 or 3 feet. So her body is literally being held in place there with those scissors.
Fucking shears, man. My God. And I was like, don't use the fabric scissors on anything but fabric. But yeah, that was fucking intense, and it had a real jump scare kind of horror feel to it that I was very happy to see, because it is a good reminder that this isn't just we're not watching fucking Bridgerton,
Right?
These are monsters. So I love it when we get reminded, even though we care so much about these characters, that we humanize them very much, that they are definitely monsters. And she was like, I'm going to kill this guy. I might as well go ahead and eat him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, she had wasted a lot of blood in the other room.
Yeah,
so
it's true. It's true that.
There are hungry vampires in China, Ashley.
That's right. Don't waste your food. My God. Stop.
Man, okay, so we mentioned the troop earlier, but it's the same here with Madeline. Madeline as a character is so much more developed and meaningful than the book's version for me.
Oh,
partly because of the very thing that they play out in the later scene between Louis and Madeline. In the novel, Claudia is literally a replacement for Madeline's daughter, who's passed away young, and it's like Anne wrote this metaphor for her lost daughter and Claudia, and then literally wrote herself into the story as a grieving, mother. And you're like, okay, but that's all Madeline is. She's a guardian for Claudia so that Louis can go on his way and Claudia can be the boss of the household without having to constantly figure out this power play with Louis,
Right.
And for Madeline, she's just happy to have her daughter back and replaced with this doll that will never die. And you're like, well, that's not that interesting to me. This, though, is 2 broken people who have been, trodden on throughout both of their existence, and yet are both inherently, as Madeline says, a survivor. Madeline and Claudia both share that. And the fact that they're able to save themselves together. They don't save each other. They save themselves together. It's beautiful. And it's going to make next episode all the more tragic.
Yeah. Well,
this is great.
It gives Claudia so much more agency too. Like, she's not chosen Madeline out of necessity, out of desperation, out of I just need to get out of this house kind of a thing, It's not like marrying the first boy she dated kind of a situation here. She's found in someone she wants to be a companion.
Yeah, she's found a companion. She's found a partner, like a true
God,
partner.
and she fucking deserves it. When she's like, I should get to choose this. I'm like, yeah, you should. You're fucking right. I think that's one of the greater things about aging Claudia up. We've talked about it numerous times, all the improvements that it makes, and it makes everything a little less icky and and probably one less kid that has to go to a lot of therapy after they grow up from being a child actor. But she does have so much more agency in this series, and it makes it better and worse in some ways, because it's like it makes everything else so fucking awful.
Well, it makes it worse when she pokes at Louis. Even later in this episode, they have sort of a fight when they're sitting in the chairs and smoking, waiting on Armand and Madeline in the other room. And it's like last episode in the last episode we got Louis telling Armand, "You're boring. This is boring.
Oh, yeah.
You're so boring." Boy, Claudia gets that as well, and she treats people that way, and she treats Louis that way sometimes, and none of these are healthy relationships at this point. That's absolutely true. Speaking of unhealthy, I want to move here, because there we move from this beautiful relationship and this beautiful start between Madeline and Claudia to the next scene. Clothes off, face down in the coffin. You can read them to me while I fuck you.
Yeah.
Man, this show has made me feel bad for Armand, Ashley.
I mean, for real.
Up.
But is that? I mean, yeah, it's Louis telling it, but is that Louis, or is that the way Armand wants us to see Louis right now, so that we can forgive him about what he does later?
Okay, maybe, and we'll definitely get there, because there's the end of this episode has me questioning a lot of things. But we've seen Louis. We talked about it last season, how he doesn't act like he's got the power in the relationship, and yet he was totally in control of Lestat and could have pointed. What's the line from My Big Fat Greek Wedding? The mom says, yes, the man is the head of the household, but the woman is the neck of the household, and she turns the head wherever she wants it to go. Okay, that Louis is the neck of both these relationships. And can turn the head wherever he wants it to go, and yet he oh, woe is me, Lestat just made me do anything. No, bitch, get over yourself. You withholding
It's even less woe is and it's even less woe is me. He's consciously cold, consciously dismissive, consciously demanding, and it is a very, very different version of Louis than I have held in my mind. You know what I mean?
Okay, but isn't it on it? And there was a great interview with Roland Jones that got posted on the Facebook group this week, talking about how he solved the weird Lestat problem. Lestat in book 1, then Lestat in book 2, totally different character, effectively. Right. And how do you square that circle? Well, he's done it here by having it be, a jilted lover talking shit so he could get the attention of the former ex, that he kind of wants back. But I think it's made Louis more interesting, honestly. Louis in this series
too.
Is so much more complex.
Yes.
And he's so much more flawed in ways that are interesting and compelling and realistic.
Let's be honest, we're getting hours and hours of dialogue between these characters that we never got in the books.
That's fair.
The books, you read a book for however long you read it, and not all of it's dialogue, a lot of it is just getting you, is the narrative and getting you there. So I love the way that these showrunners and writers have just taken this and expanded it to such a degree. Everyone's serviced by it. I feel like every character in the Vampire Chronicles that we've met so far has been serviced by this kind of expanded view of them. This sort of like, they all have more life. They all have more depth. They all have more darkness. They all have more light. It's better even more interesting than I could have imagined, even being a huge lover of the books.
Yes, I agree.
But
and I understand
Louis being so like standoffish, like he acts like he doesn't care. He's like indifferent. He's like neglectful almost of his partners, and that to me is just almost as abusive as physical abuse, you know?
Yes, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like these are fucked up, broken relationships.
Yeah.
Before you get into the mind erasing and the beating.
Yeah, before you get into the vampire
5.
shit of it, before you just take them as fucking, if these were people, Jesus Christ, like none of us would be friends with them because their lives would be such a mess. You'd be like, oh God, I got a text from Lestat today. Oh no, well that's weird because of course I heard from Louis. So like being in a friend group with these guys would be a fucking nightmare.
Yes, 100%. Oh man, great line when Madeline and Claudia are in the apartment together after Claudia's cleaned up from the attack, and Louis walks in. Claudia is saying no to a drink from Madeline, and Louis says once she starts, she can't stop her.
That's very true.
But then also he says, she's reading one of your diaries in my coffin.
In my coffin. That does seem a little rude. Like that's like getting in someone's bed with your shoes on or something.
Well, I mean the flagrancy. It's like, I mean, absolutely have seen it on occasion with my teens, and I'm like, I mean, you knew you were going to get in trouble for this. Why did you drag it into the house for me to see so red? Like it's like you're waving it at me to see if I come and smack you in the head for the red flag. Like, what are you doing? Like, what is this?
The cat,
are you trying to die?
The cat killed the mouse and it needs to present it to you.
Oh man, Claudia's got a great line there too. She said it's her.
Oh my God.
A weird white lady I met by happenstance.
I met by happenstance. That is my favorite line of the series to date. I hope one day to be the weird white lady someone meets by happenstance.
Well, I mean, isn't that love though? Like, I mean, you people say you find love when you stop looking for it, but like you don't find it where you look. You don't find it where you expect. It is the weird white lady that you meet by happenstance. Yeah.
That's so funny. I love it. It was done over just a few scenes and then very well in this episode. This relationship I really give a shit about. Like I'm like very invested in Claudia and in Madeline like I had never have been before. I'm fucking give all the shits in the world about Madeline like I never have before, aside from being like, oh, she's pretty and she looks so nice in that green dress. Like
she reminded me in the scene with her and Armand, which the top to bottom, it's amazing.
Oh,
it's
beautiful.
framed beautifully. They both are like dressed amazingly. It's fantastic. But she reminded me a lot of some of the best scenes from the early couple of seasons of Handmaid's Tale when they're under interrogation or like they're, being talked to by one of the leaders or whatever, like the iron will, but also the resignation to her fate, right? Like,
right.
Yes, this might not go my way and he may just snap my neck or rip my head off or whatever.
Or I could just die in the doing of it,
But I'm not gonna sit here and be a bitch. I'm not gonna sit here and like, I mean, she does not take his gaze for most of the beginning of it. She busies herself clearly.
That with that
nervous.
apple, that was so
good,
fucking
right?
brilliant. Yeah. No, I loved everything about the scene, top to bottom.
But she says she has got a great line there, and I thought, yeah, this Madeline is so much better than anything we've got before. She says, I found the love that I needed, even when it was a dangerous kind of love. She's talking about the German. But then she says, and now I found it again, talking about Claudia. Man, that's beautiful. And also, like, that is sort of the thesis statement for all of our vampires. You know, they are all searching for the love that they needed. You know,
Right.
Marius needs a son and a figure to sort of mentor. Armand needs a father figure. Lestat needs someone to put some reins on, but also to adore him, right? Like, he needs
Right.
both.
Yeah.
You know, and what does Louis need? Who is Louis without all these other people? We don't know exactly yet. And now we know
No.
why, because we've had people in there stirring in his
fucking
brains.
fucking his brains up.
Yeah. Man, just an amazing scene, though. And, like, honestly, if one or both of them are not nominated for an Emmy, I think with supporting actor particularly, like, you know, whether Jacob is recognized for his work as the lead here, I don't know. Sam hasn't been in this season nearly enough.
Yeah.
But these two have both done so much with so little. I mean, Claudia's been great too. We've given Delaney her praise. Santiago is
She's
amazing,
fantastic.
but Madeline is truly special here. And do you know that actress's name offhand? I forgot.
I don't
honestly.
at all. I should have looked it up before we started talking, and I did not. But yeah, she's fantastic. Also, her French seems very good. I don't know if that's true or not. Someone in our group can tell us that speaks French, but
Yeah, I don't know, but I was way into it. Is my point.
Yeah.
I want more of this, honestly.
I was very enraptured, and
shame.
that scene was. I mean, the scene was fantastic. A little fantastic look into Armand too. You know, it was so good all the way around.
For TV show folks, and it's confirmed for book readers that it's true so far. He's never made another vampire.
A vampire, yeah.
You know, this is true in the novels, which is why when he ends up finally making one, they are quite strong, in fact, because
Yeah.
he's got a lot of pent up reserves, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, he's been eating off some good vampires himself, so
That's true. Well, and 600 years or so to let it stew.
yeah, 100%.
Man, okay. One little joke, and then I'll talk about how lovely it actually is. Madeline's making had a hidden Mickey. Did you see it?
Shut
When Claudia leans in to bite her as well, and they do the overhead shot, the
Yeah.
back of their heads are the ears, and Madeline's face is the face. So you get a little
So
hidden Mickey. It's perfect.
That'll be great when it ends up on Disney Plus.
I know, right?
Did you wait? Okay, completely off track, but did you know Saw is on Disney Plus?
Yeah. Every time I log in now, I'm like, oh boy, folks are going to be real mad about this.
I
I'm
love it.
glad,
Sorry.
honestly, because it's like you get all your stuff, and it needs to be to compete with. Think about how much stuff is on Netflix. Netflix has, whatever, a giant kids section, but also they've got, Blonde, which was effectively like an NC-17 movie about Marilyn
Right.
Monroe. They got Bridgerton, for God's sake.
Yes, we digress.
Madeline's making, though, the whole from top to bottom, that was all really lovely, which is foreshadowed by Louis talking to Armand, trying to get him to come and be part of it. He's like,
Yeah, and
I
he's
think
like,
can
we
be
could
beautiful.
do it right.
Yeah, we could do this right.
We could do this right. We could bring someone over and not be a horror show. It not be a fucking nightmare for them,
Claudia, as Madeline perceived her. We get this little
so
glimpse
beautiful.
when he's drinking from Madeline, and we see Claudia, as he says, in the yellow dress, but also in the middle of the day. It's in sunlight.
Oh, she's so beautiful.
Well,
Ethereal and magical and like angelic.
and I'm guessing we're going to get some of those images again next episode.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's going to be awful. I'm going to cry so much.
Louis tried to kill himself after making Madeline. He cut his wrist
Yes.
again after
God,
they were
Louis,
gone.
like, Jesus Christ. We did talk how all of our guys need a therapist.
Yes.
But then they need to turn a therapist into a vampire. But then someone did point out that they would need to turn another therapist into a vampire to be the therapist for that therapist.
Yeah, Dr. Melfi had one too.
Yeah, after they're done dealing with all of these crazy ass vampires.
So my question to you is, are those the only two times that he actually attempted it that we know of now, in the 1970s in San Francisco and then in Paris right after he made Madeline? Or was the event in San Francisco like sort of the culmination of some smaller ones. You know, if you're a vampire and you slit your wrists, I mean, how dangerous is it when you know for a fact I slit my wrist just a minute ago and fed that woman? So like,
right.
And then
Right.
I got hungry and I went out and found some rats and I was okay again. But like, yeah, I don't know. That's one of those cry for help things, right? That's getting your stomach pumped, not driving off a bridge. But
yes.
I don't know. I get the feeling that maybe Armand had, when he was mad about cleaning up the mess, it wasn't just about Daniel's body. It was about Louis and the self-destructive nature that Louis has been stuck in.
Yeah, I mean, we're giving Armand an awful lot of credit these days, but that's how this goes, I guess. And we're going to find out.
He was so convincing in this final scene, Ashley. He was very convincing. I got to tell you. Okay, so some folks speculated about it in the Facebook group. Armand mentions when he shows up and Louis is sitting there bleeding, I brought some books, I brought a few things, and
he has a
clipping
suitcase
from a magnolia tree that I'm growing.
Oh, yes.
Is the tree in the apartment in Dubai a magnolia? It looks, to me, I was thinking it's some sort of like cherry tree or something. It's got lovely foliage.
It's got like pink flowers. I
don't know. Maybe there are other magnolias that I'm not familiar with.
I mean,
the magnolias
I'm
here
sure.
just have those ugly seed pods mostly.
And the big giant blooms with the big waxy flowers that don't really have a smell. You know, like, yeah, I don't know about that. But I need to go back to season 1 when we get better looks at that fucking tree and figure it out.
Yeah, I do feel confident though that the sentimental designer that pushed for it was Armand. Armand designed that apartment now. I feel confident.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's why the bookshelves are so high up.
Exactly. Okay, what a great line. They gave me a choice. I chose. And we hear it twice in totally different ways. But like, man. Oh, Daniel's line, oh, is there a game being played? I love when this finally comes to a head. We were probably like 25 minutes into the episode, and Kelly was like, pause it for a second. Kelly's my wife, by the way. Kelly, pause it for a second. Okay. Why? I'm not wrong, right? Like they haven't talked about anything that came out in the last episode. And I was like, no. Daniel and Louis are just playing it straight with Armand right now and trying to like suss out where this is going. Neither one of them have confronted him yet.
Yeah, they want to see what he's going to admit to before they...
So I love when it finally comes to a head there because Louis is like, oh, did it? Oh, did you put something else in my mind? I don't know. You were there too. What do you think about it? What do you remember? But it comes out and then Armand just lays it. First of all, Armand's like sick of their shit, honestly, and calls them
right.
on it.
Right.
Are you mad at me because I erased your memories and you don't think I should have done that? And Louis like, yeah, I am. And Armand's like, you have no right to because you asked me to do it.
You're the one that told me to do it.
Okay, we speculated on this already. Do you think there's any chance that that's true? Now, whether or not Armand decided to diddle a little more than he was asked to is a different question, right?
Right.
Do you think that Louis wanted this taken away?
I don't know why he would.
I mean, to get out of a cycle of depression and self-destruction?
I mean, I guess.
I mean, Jim Carrey asked to have Kate Blanchett.
I was literally about to mention
right?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Kate Blanchett, Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet, yeah. I was literally about to mention that. Yeah. Like I don't know. I don't know these guys like I used to.
I don't either. And that's like, but I will say this, the way that Armand lays it out for both Louis and Daniel, he tells Daniel, you've as sharp a mind as any human that walks. He says the drugs did more damage to you than 5 days in San Francisco. And Daniel retorts, oh, it's 6 days.
6.
He goes, point made. Like, you remember it all now. I put a block. Well, effectively what Armand is saying for both of them, I put a block because you asked me to, or it was good for you. I didn't erase anything. I didn't fuck your brain up. You did cocaine and heroin and everything else that you could get your hands on for 10 or 15 years. That's what fucked your brain up, if at all. That's why you got Parkinson's, you know?
Well, even like Raglan says that to him too. Like if I could jump into your body, I would probably already be heading the organization, basically, is what he says.
Yes, which by the good call, we missed that, or I missed that. Thank you for reminding me. Raglan just straight up lays
making
out
jokes
what
about
he's from, right?
Makes jokes about stealing bodies.
Oh, on that, and we didn't talk about this. In the group, a lot of people wondered, because of the connection to Raglan James, is it possible that Rasheed is actually someone else already post body swap? I would put money on it. The events of the Tale of the Body Thief have not happened yet.
Yeah,
so,
no.
So if we're going to get a David has not interacted in that way with Raglan James yet. Neither has Lestat. Raglan is in not Raglan's body necessarily, but Raglan is in a body. Yeah,
he was.
That's the one he joined the
occupying.
Talamasca in, is my guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet he wishes he picked someone with better vision.
I thought the same thing too. I was like, man, if I had to choose anybody, I'd probably get one that could see, honestly. I mean, maybe they're just aesthetic. I don't know. Okay. So, but when they lay it all out, I mean, I found myself questioning, like, what actual long-term harm has Armand done to Daniel? And of course we don't know it all yet. But anyway, in that moment, I found myself believing him. Yeah,
it's assuming that, like, he didn't follow him around for the next couple of weeks fucking with him, you know?
Yeah, or years or decades.
Or years, as it might be,
Or maybe he owns the house that Daniel still lives in today,
right.
Actually.
I mean, it could be any of that. That's horrible. Armand could be involved with it because he'll justify it to himself somehow.
Okay, so then we get the scene with Claudia and Madeline having returned to Paris, and they're having dinner with Louis and Armand. Yeah,
Why did you come back?
Okay, so
because
when I watched
because Armand put it in someone's head.
So when I watched it the first time, I thought, how weird that they just decided to come back to Paris and visit. And the second time, the way that everything plays out, Madeline specifically refers to that she can feel Louis because there's Maker and Fledgling. So first of all, I think they wanted to put this scene in here because they wanted to remind us all, Louis knows Lestat is alive, folks.
Right.
Louis has been feeling Lestat this entire time. My guess is Louis knows that Lestat is currently in Paris at that moment at the table. And then secondly, I think that the point of that was that you get the hint that because of those connections, Madeline can feel him, she can feel Armand through Louis. My guess is that Armand had been planting to her that Claudia should come and say goodbye to Louis. It would make Louis happy, it'd make Claudia happy.
Yeah, that's 100% what I was thinking too. But I mean, every part of my soul just screamed, no, you were away. Why? And I mean, we all know, I guess we don't all know it's coming, but all the book readers know it's coming. I mean, probably if you've listened to us, you know it's coming. I think that we've been at least alluding to it pretty strongly.
It's like a 50-year-old book. I think the spoilers are out
right,
there for
the
folks.
Spoilers are out there, y'all. Yeah, so I feel so gross and yucky, but I definitely feel like he had to have planted that idea. And that's just part of how he lured them back. I mean, that's the choice he made. He's going to give them Claudia and Madeline, and he gets to leave with Louis. I mean, that's the deal he allegedly made in the book, yeah?
Yes. I think in the novels, the deal was that they wouldn't put Louis in the sun.
They wouldn't kill Louis.
They were going to lock him up for some period of time. And I mean, in the show, we've already seen that's how they killed. That's how the Maker was. Santiago's Maker was killed. He was just boxed, and they let him starve to death effectively over time. You know, but like, how long does that take for a vampire to starve to death?
Yeah.
Can they actually do it? Because we know our vampires in the novels take the dirt naps. Like,
right.
I don't know, man.
They take a rest. They do. They'll go under for a couple hundred years if they need to.
And I mean,
refresh.
they do starve, but their consciousness is stay alive, and they can rejuvenate themselves with a little bit of blood. It takes a few days or weeks, depending upon how long they were down there, maybe.
Right.
And they're back to their old selves. Anyway. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm such a big JC Superstar fan and I've always loved the role of Judas. But in this moment...
We do. The kiss?
I still don't even mind Armand. He gets up, he kisses him on the cheek, and then goes to stand in the door and let it happen. But still, what do we also get in that moment? We find out that Louis, for real, does love Armand, but won't fucking say it. And even makes fun of it when it's mentioned at the table by Madeline, like downplays it and then picks on Armand about his big head as he walks out of the room. Like, in that moment, I was like, fuck you, Louis. I mean, it's a shame that those other two are going to get the shit too, but like, you deserve this ass whooping you're about to get, actually.
Right.
Maybe.
This is I've never felt this unsympathetic toward Louis, to be really honest. Like, I'm feeling things I've never felt before. I've always been a little a little bit of an Armand lover. That's been really true. Like when he in Mimnock, I just sobbed and sobbed like I was gonna die, the first time I read it. But I like this version of Louis I'm having a real hard time being super sympathetic to him right now. He is very cold. He's very detached. He's very unkind.
So I wondered how they were going to do this. Like, what was the moment going to be like
this was
when
so
they turn,
good.
when they make the turn? But Santiago marching into the cafe, while I'm fairly certain Armand had slowed down time for everybody, right?
Yep, 100%.
So
it's so good.
And steal them right there in the middle of the cafe. It was fucking awesome. And then the way that the three parties all scream for each other and panic as they realize what's happening, just fantastically
heartbreaking
played. And then the fact that they go ahead and give us the reveal, and it wasn't at first I thought, oh, they're showing me the trailer for next week, but it's not. The end of this episode was the beginning of the trial. We're going to get a one-time only performance.
Yep.
In the middle of the day, the first time.
Don't miss it. Don't miss the matinee.
Yeah, folks.
Which is just, they're going to, obviously we know what's about to happen.
Yeah, they're using that astronomical lens and they're going to burn the shit out of somebody. The question
right
is exactly how many somebodies.
And honestly. Right in front of the audience.
Yes.
Which is going to be unfucking believable to them. I am, was there anything more delicious than that silhouette? This is, never mind. We'll wait. I'll wait. Yes. I'm ahead. Ahead.
No.
I'm ahead.
Because, did you expect to get the reveal this episode? I did not. I thought we wouldn't see him until next episode.
Well, since we started, I figured we might. Yeah.
Okay. Once we were seeing the play.
Once I realized we were going to go into the theater in this episode, I knew we were going to get that tease. I bet people that haven't read the books were so fucking excited.
Right? Just blew people's hair back. So what we're talking about is, and I love the way that it plays out, by the way, because it is the answer to a scene that we got earlier this season with Santiago. We talked about Santiago gets the note from the stage manager, Santiago 3 minutes, and he goes, fuck you, as the guy walks away. And in this episode, at the very end, while Santiago's on stage introducing the trial, we see backstage as someone walks down into the green room area and says, Monsieur de Lioncourt, 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
And then he says 10 minutes. Or no, he says, thank you. 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
And I was like, yes, Lestat has backstage manners. Thank you, guys.
Can I also really say that I hope that 10 minutes is played out in real time?
Yes.
When we start next episode, I want those 10 minutes to be played out in fucking real time. Like a fucking episode of 24.
Yeah, build the fucking tension, man, and let it roll.
I want every minute of it that I can possibly get. This is such a huge fucking reason why I got so enamored with these books. This scene is such a big part of why I got hooked,
Well, and the fact that we're going to see him again in the flesh in this season, I'm super excited about it. I really thought we might have to wait until the very end of episode 7. I'm still convinced that this Paris story completely resolves next week, and then we have an episode that is effectively follow-up and lead into season 3. Rollins said in that interview that I mentioned earlier, by the way, that I love his political nature. He goes, we haven't gotten the green light. I can't talk about season 3 yet.
Right.
I can tell you this, the next book that I would do, if I were to do one, would be The Vampire Lestat. Yes. We do know, though, that he just re-signed a new long-term deal for his overall, deal with AMC. So
he's for me, in my mind, the way I'm thinking of him is the same way I think of Dave Filoni with new Star Wars shit right now. You know what I mean? I want him attached to everything. I want you to be making the decisions. This is what I need because you get it. You get what we want.
My guess is that you'll see an elevation of him as this universe grows, and that he will be at least an executive producer on some of the other shows.
Yeah, hell yeah, he better be an EP.
Yeah, and I don't want to take all of his time. I want his focus to remain on this one, especially for the next couple of seasons, since those are the ones that he loves best.
Right, and the ones you love best.
Yeah, boy, for sure, don't I, though? He and I are so alike in those ways. What we have ahead of us is just It's
going to be so good.
It's going to be so wonderful. And I'm so excited. The Netflix deal will mean that more eyeballs are on it between here and there. So it's going to be an even bigger thing by the time we get back to this. It's going to be amazing. All right, let's go to the episode insider, the trailer for next week and the episode insider. Ashley, you were talking about the silhouette that rocked the world.
Has anything been more delicious that you've ever seen in your life than that man striding across the upper deck of the theater and taking that jacket off?
The way that he throws the jacket back, like Bob Fosse taught him how to do it, right?
My God.
The extension on the spine, Jesus.
I've never thought a shadow was so hot in my whole life.
Yeah, he's real good. He's real good. Meanwhile, we get Louis' narration. All I could think about was that he was coming. And I'm like, yeah, bitch, he is. You knew he was. And see, that's why in that moment in the cafe, to go back for just a second, but that's the thing to me, is the Madeline of it all, and her talking about how I feel you. Yeah, I feel you too, Madeline. That shows Louis knew what the fuck was going on. Like, maybe he didn't know that Armand had made a deal.
Oh, I don't think he knew that. Because I don't think he knew that at all.
But he knew Lestat was in Paris, and he knew their time was up, and he knew that Claudia and Madeline were in danger being in the city. And
well, that's probably why he tried to fucking kill himself.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I got very little patience for Louis right now, and he's going to have a lot to. He's going to have a lot to do in episode 7 and 8 here to get me back on his side.
I feel weird about it. Not a bad way, but I'm like, how did this happen?
Oh. Okay. Our friend Rebecca Reesness is absolutely front row center in front of Santiago at the trial, by the way.
Holy
in
shit.
that last moment.
Have you talked to her?
She's laughing. No, I haven't talked to her the last week or two.
Oh my
I sent her a message the week before her first episode aired. She thumbs up it, but she hasn't made arrangements. I'm guessing probably her NDA won't be clear until the end of the season. Yeah.
I'm sure her NDA is quite thick.
So we'll see. But okay. I got to say this. Mark Johnson, he doesn't. They've taken him out of the top of the episode insiders, at least, thank God.
Yes, they have.
But the clip that they got him here, this is literally word for word. I'm not even going to put any spin or accent on it. This is what he says, folks. Claudia revealing that she's a vampire shows how comfortable she is revealing that to another person. That is not a whole thought, Mark.
That is a line from a 6th grade book report.
Yeah, it's like
Interview with a Vampire.
I totally read the book.
That child probably shouldn't have been reading and writing a book report on yet.
So genuinely, I'm wondering if the editor of these insiders hates Mark for some reason. That can't have been the best clip that they got from him if they interviewed him for more than a few minutes. Like, what are you doing?
Like, we know this isn't his best work. We know that talking things up. I don't know. You're an executive producer. You should be able to. Oh, we should not talk so much shit, Joel. We'll never get an official podcast.
You're right on that. But later he makes totally cogent thoughts later in the insider. Like, I don't know why they keep doing him so dirty. I'm telling you,
they do.
It's the
like
editor.
when it probably is. It's like when the costumer. You've pissed off the costumer, and they put you in a costume that like matches the scenery.
Yes.
So that you just
they
like
paint you go away green.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like like Mark Johnson hit on the editor's wife sometime at a cast party or something. Maybe like that's what it feels like to me.
Yes, absolutely.
Fuck you, Mark Johnson.
Fuck you, Mark Johnson. I'm gonna make you look stupid.
Anyway, hopefully there won't be a strike between here and season 3, so Rollin will be back
Christ, you guys.
for these episode insiders the next time that we get them. I'm genuinely, we got promised extra content from AMC before this season aired, and we got
that's been lies
5
so far,
minute
except
it's been all lies so far.
For,
exactly.
The behind the scenes.
We haven't even gotten the whole episodes on AMC Plus.
Right.
So I don't know what they're doing there.
This is a beef.
I'm hoping in between seasons, and as they're prepping for season 2 of Mayfair and season 1 of Talamasca next year, I'm hoping that we'll get a little trickle of some stuff, and by then Rollin should be able to take part too. So we can keep our fingers crossed for that. They've got a lot of story to tell, though, Ashley.
Oh, God.
Even in these last episodes.
They have so much story, period, that exists already, but they're doing such a good job. Like, this is what Game of Thrones fucked up.
Yes.
And they're doing it so well. You know what I mean? Like Game of Thrones was like, we have all this source material. Let's use it for a while, but we're going to go way too fast and skip a bunch of stuff, and then we'll get ahead of it. You know, like it just like and what they created on their own was never as good as what I had already read, you know?
Now you
but this
just
is
put
totally different.
Now you just put a new fear in me, though, because what if this actually blows up in between seasons and Roland Jones gets a giant development deal from Disney to go make a new Star Wars trilogy, and he goes away hurriedly like Benioff and White. I mean, that's what happened with Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, those two guys got a big deal from Disney.
And then they
left that deal. No, they left that deal to go get a big deal from Netflix to make. Now they finally did make the 3-Body Problem, so kudos.
Oh,
but
okay. Well, that came out this fucking year.
Yeah, I know. And they took two. I think both were like $200 million plus deals, by the way.
That's
so
fucking ridiculous.
Kudos to cashing them paychecks.
Look, listen. We can only hope that we stay on the rails.
Yes. Roland needs to ride this through at least to book 4 or 5. Man, and speaking of, so many of the novels are we're really gonna have to dig into them in between the off seasons.
Yeah.
I'm thinking what we might try to do, Ashley, is do like a couple of like 2-parter episodes where we do like the first half of a book and then the second half of the book or something like that.
Well, and
so
like
that we
maybe
can get to them a little faster and put them out more often.
Well, and maybe even get our like alphabetary and that sort of thing, and really dig in a little deeper. I think that we all need that because they're putting so much into, like, so much from all of the books in different ways. There's little like, oh, here's this from that book, and here's this from that book, and here's a little hint from something that you haven't even read yet, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Including the characters, the way they're weaving the storylines together. It's going to be very exciting, and clearly they're building up to some big things. So kudos. I'm excited for what's next, even though what's next is going to be
awful.
Fairly tragic. Yes.
It's going to be very awful. I'm going to be a whole ass mess. Like I'm going to be a whole ass mess. I don't know. I don't know. I can't watch it at work. I know that. I'll be a crying, sobbing, vampire loving sad sack.
Yes, 100%. That's exactly. So get your Kleenex ready and make sure that you block off some time for yourself this next week.
And maybe, make an appointment with your therapist if you need to. If you haven't lately,
at least the spa.
Get some good talking. Yeah, get your nails done. Get a little massage. Something that's that will help release the tension that's in all of our bodies as we wait for the next 2 episodes of the show.
I did love, though, and I didn't think about it, honestly, until that moment from the trailer where you see Lestat strutting through the back of the theater in silhouette.
Oh, my God.
They put this episode out on Father's Day, and we've got 2 featured in this episode. Obviously, Lestat finally returns as Claudia and Louis's dad.
Daddy.
But now Louis is father to Madeline. Mm-hmm. And I love, by the way that he described it, by the way. I've got this, I feel her, this stranger, is in his head and in his heart now in a way, and he didn't even know this woman or like her or anything. That would be a very strange relationship, and makes me think that Armand's not wrong when he says, the ones we create always end up hating us for it.
Yeah.
That to be forced to be tied to someone for eternity because of your creation. There's not a better metaphor for fathers and children, I don't think, actually, is there, Ashley?
Probably not.
It's a complicated relationship for a lot of folks, and I thought that was interesting that we sort of get that.
Speaking of, happy Father's Day. I hope you had a lovely day.
I did, honestly. We watched Godzilla -1 with the kids.
That's fucking great. Yes.
Yeah, it's really good. It's on Netflix now, finally, so if you can stream that if you missed it in theaters. Really, really good. Even Kelly's not a kaiju person, but she was like, giant lizard movie, that wasn't bad, actually.
Yeah, so, I'm not really either. I'm kind of with Kelly on that, but I took a really nice nap about a week ago on the couch while Brett watched it.
It is very much a traditional Godzilla movie. If you've never,
it's
liked
fantastic.
One before,
like the parts I watched were great.
But it's a great testament to, and I feel like Interview is a good example of this as well, of like maximizing budgets, right? The Interview does not have the budget that the Disney shows have, for instance, as a rule, like the Star Wars and Marvel shows.
But it looks like it.
Looks like $1 million or $1 billion, I guess we got to say now, right? Like, yeah, it looks fantastic. And Godzilla -1 absolutely was an example of that too. So kudos to that. I did enjoy that. I meant to mention this last week, and I didn't get to it. We were so busy tied up thinking about the episode. If you haven't watched Ripley on Netflix, I cannot recommend that enough.
Ooh, I haven't watched it yet.
It's a remake of The Talented Mr. Ripley, and it's
Andrew Scott
fantastic.
in that?
Yeah, Andrew Scott plays Ripley.
That's hot rabbi, hot priest,
yes,
hot
from
priest.
From Fleabag, actually. Yeah, absolutely.
God,
He's amazing in it, Ashley. And
he's amazing in everything.
The whole series is done in black and white. And okay, so I just realized this today watching an episode. It was created by Showtime Studios. I don't know why Showtime and Paramount didn't pay to put this thing out and instead sold it to Netflix, because it is really, really good. And yeah, I mean, I would love to see more adaptations of I know there are several other books. Really, the Ripley's Game is the only other major film that's been done, and that one's been done a couple of times as well. But I think there's a handful of Ripley books from that author.
Yeah,
and he just nails it.
And Andrew Scott is a hot commodity right now. Like, he is beloved.
Well, I think for fans of this series, for fans, I know a lot of us are also fans of Hannibal, which we've talked about ad nauseum. The Ripley series has a lot in common with those. This Ripley series on Netflix is very different in its approach to Ripley than The Talented Mr. Ripley was, or even Ripley's Game. But I'm really enjoying it. Also, apparently Malkovich has a cameo at some point, so
Ooh.
I'm excited. I haven't gotten there yet, but yeah. Anyway, I'm loving it. It's like a ton of it's in Italian because it's all shot in Italy, obviously, and so it's set in Italy. So like a lot of it is in Italian, which I like. The episode flashback to Lestat and Armand's story. I like when you do that, even if the accents aren't great. Apparently, I know in this show they cast a lot of Italians, so I'm guessing they're a lot better than they are in.
Listen,
Interview.
You have to have the right ear to know that that's a problem. And we all have our own regional ear.
Yeah, that's right. So look, I thought Sam Beckett was an actual Irish vampire, so what do I know? Anyway.
I mean, I think he might be.
All right, Ashley. Let's wrap up this amazing Father's Day weekend.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for following the show and all the places. Thank you for joining the conversation on our social media accounts.
For real.
Thank you for coming back here next week to cry into our mugs over
y'all, I'm going to be a mess. I may be a couple of drinks in by the time we talk about it, but because having to rewatch it, I know it's going to be brutal.
It's going to be brutal. That's what you can expect.
It's going to hurt more. It's going to hurt more than it's hurt before, I'm afraid.
Oh, it's going to hurt more than it hurt before. Title. All right. Ashley, thank you so much as always. Folks, until next week, go and watch episode 7 of season 2 of Interview with the Vampire on AMC and AMC Plus, and then come back here to talk to us about it. We'll be back then. Until then, we've been your hosts. I'm Joel.
I'm Ashley.
And we are the Articulate Coven. Thanks for listening to The Articulate Coven. You can join our community on Facebook by following the links in the show notes or searching for Articulate Coven on Facebook. You can subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or at articulatecoven.com, and share us with your Anne Rice loving friends.